Hello, my name is Diana Wood. I am the founder and CEO of Wood Motivation and an executive director with the John Maxwell team. And welcome. I am so excited that you are here. Welcome to the No Limits Masterclass. I am excited because you have said yes to you. You said yes and you jumped in and you've made a great decision. Our 5-session study is based on John Maxwell's book, No Limits, Blow the Cap Off Your Capacity. Now, in our No Limits Masterclass, we're going to dig in and look for places in our lives where we have placed caps on our capacities, knowingly or unknowingly. Now, unfortunately, people are much more comfortable defining what they can't do or what potentially is off limits. In other words, their caps are something that they've just accepted or they don't even think about it. They don't even realize they put caps on their capacities. And I have a question for you. Could it be that many of us have failed to expand our capacities and potential because we've allowed what we perceive as capacity to define us? It's kind of a big question. But what if our limits and what we perceive to be our limits, aka our capacity level, are not really our limits or our limitations at all? What if they're invisible boundaries that we've set into place on our own? So John Maxwell gets straight to the point in his No Limits book, where he throws down a challenge. He throws down the gauntlet, the capacity challenge, and it's a self-challenge. And here's the scope of the challenge. Every day, I grow my awareness, I develop my abilities, and I make right choices. And if you agree to accept this mission by growing your awareness and developing your abilities and making right choices, it inevitably will increase your capacity. Now, I know this sounds so simple, but that's one of the things that John Maxwell is a master at, is taking something that can be so complex and diverse and simplifying it. It's a sign of a great leader. And I work every day to strive to model that, as opposed to making things more confusing, helping things be simple. So this challenge directly ties into the teaching on the topics that make up our 5 virtual masterclass sessions. So we're over our 5 sessions, we're going to cover awareness, ability, choices, increase, and being unstoppable and living life with no limits. So our session titles are awareness, ability, choices, increase, and no limits. So are you ready? Are you ready? Excellent. So am I. So first things first, I'd like you to pause the recording and write down what your intention is. Why did you say yes to this class? What would you like to get out of this class? That all ties into what's the intention that you have of spending time together with me in these 5 sessions. So go ahead and pause the recording and write out what your intention is, what you'd like to accomplish and receive from these 5 weeks together. So go ahead and push pause on your player, and I'll see you in a minute or 2. Okay, welcome back. Maybe you didn't pause me and you saw me sit there a little funny, but the point is that I really wanted you to take some time and hit that pause button and write out the intentions. Don't skip over that one, my friends. This is important because you made an investment in you, so let's maximize it. So I asked myself the same question. Why am I doing this? What's my intention of putting together this No Limits virtual masterclass? So what I want to get out of these 5 sessions is I want to deliver as much value as I possibly can, so that you leave these 5 sessions feeling that you received more than what you had expected. So I'm going to be pouring my heart out. I'm going to be throwing it over the bar and doing everything I can to accomplish my goal. So I recommend and I ask that you keep your written intention right by your side. So every time you pick up the No Limits book, every time you click play on these video sessions, every time you think into your notes, you've got that intention, that goal right there in front of you. What is it that I want to get out of this time together? I promise you it will serve you. A second housekeeping item that I'm going to present to you is I'm going to ask you to take some time, and if you don't have it already, grab a notebook, grab some blank paper, grab a pen, a pencil. For my techies out there and you want to type notes, fantastic. Get whatever application out on your phone, whatever. Get whatever app out so that you can take notes. I'm going to challenge you to step outside of that fail-safe of a tech, typing out the tech. I hear it all because I used to say it. I can type faster. This is so much better. I can search by the words. You're right. Write it out and then transition it over onto an electronic format. And the reason why I say that is there's something magical that happens when you do it physically, when you physically write it out. Something that happens from your brain, going through your arm, extending through your hand onto the paper, because it goes to another level of more than just hearing it. So I know my family thinks I'm crazy a little bit, because sometimes when I'm doing my studying and I take various master classes myself, I'll actually be saying the words out loud as I'm writing it, because I want to get as much as possible. So I'm getting the auditory, the verbal, the physical part. I'm soaking it all up. So just a little tidbit of housekeeping. Anybody who follows me knows that I exhaust this every single time, but it's that important. Take time to invest in you and maximize everything that you can, every precious morsel you can. So here we are. Let's go. Session 1. Our topic and our focus is awareness. So let's start off with a quote from James Allen. Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. Boom, pretty big. Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. Now, you can find that quote in James Allen's book, As a Man Thinketh, and it makes it clear how important it is to have a clear purpose or objective, to have clear goals in your life. Now, let's link our thoughts with purpose. What do you say? Because I'd love to have some intelligence come out of it. That's what I want to have come out of it. I'd like some intelligence to show up. So to come into the awareness, we need to ask ourselves and think into 5 questions. Do you feel that you're doing the best in all areas of your life? Next question. What do you think is holding you back? So question 1 was, do you feel that you're doing the best in all areas of your life? Question 2 is, what do you think is holding you back? Is there anything holding you back? Or are you just mastering, kicking behind, Olympian level championship production in every aspect of your life? If you are, bravo. Keep listening. There's something for you too. But if not, if in any area of your life, family, work, children, relationship, faith, working out, fitness, health, any categories, any of those, if there anything is that holding you back, write that out. Question 3, how long have these things been holding you back? Question 4, what or who could change it for you? What or who could change it for you in terms of the outcome that you're getting now, if you want it to be different than what the outcome is that you're getting now? Number 5, how much longer are you prepared to wait? How much longer are you prepared to wait? So in self-application, now I apply these questions. Whenever I submit questions, I have to look at them too. It's my responsibility to go through them, chew on them, meditate on them as well. These 5 questions, here's the results. I'm a certified human behavior consultant. I'm an executive coach, a keynote speaker, and a trainer. Now, one of my business lanes pulls coaching and training together, and I deliver master classes just like this one. And I serve individuals and or teams with these master classes classes as tools. And it's to help the individuals grow or to help the teams grow, whether it's personally or for a company goal. And a lot of that kind of blends together. But I absolutely love to run master classes, whether it's virtually or in person. There's so much value that it just, oh my gosh, it just jazzes me when people, I could see the light go on as we're going through together, arm in arm, and going through whatever the topics are through the master sessions. So when I asked myself these 5 questions, I saw it very clearly how I had set up my own fence of limitations, my own invisible boundaries, not in a positive way, in a limiting way. I had put caps on my capacity. I know I'm throwing out all these keywords that tie into the name of the book, but that's the point. We are in a master class of no limits, and taking the caps off our capacities. So as I'm thinking into that topic, and then thinking into apply self-application, ooh, it was big. So number 1, my answer to number 1 is, Diana, do you feel like you're doing your best in every area of your life? I mean, it's like, how can I count the ways of where I'd like to see improvement? But for the one that hit me the biggest, because it means the most to me right now, is my business. And so I had to say, no, I absolutely know that I can do more. I can be better. And when I looked into the next question of what I think is holding me back, I had put into my mind, I had self-developed limitations that I didn't have access to all the resources that I want, that would enable me to have these like way top of the line, top level recordings to deliver a program, like Tony Robbins. Now, one day, I could be Diana Wood and Tony Robbins on the same platform. I absolutely can see that happening. And if I continue to have limited self-thinking, that's never going to happen. So I had to break through those barriers of limitations, and I had to get rid of those excuses. And when I put, or those reasonings, which were, reasonings is just another, putting clothes on an excuse oftentimes. That's just what I found in my world. I'm sure it's different for you. It's just, that's how it's been for me. So when I asked myself the third question, how long have these things, whatever it is, that's been holding me back? And it's been almost 3 years. I've had virtual classes, but there's always been something that's held me back and resistant from pouring my heart out. And I said, no more. So when it came to the next question, question 4, what or who could change it for me? Well, the change started right here. I had to look in the mirror and say, change starts with you. And I love, John has this whole teaching on doing it now. I'm like, I got to do it now. I've got to figure out what I'm saying is holding me back and just mitigate it, get rid of it. And I did. And the who could change it for, it was me. But then I also reached out to some very important people in my life, people that serve as mentors, people that serve as accountability partners. And I'll speak to them later in our sessions, but this was huge for me. So I had to first started with me, and then I reached out to some accountability and mentors to help me, accountability partners and mentors to help me. How much longer am I prepared to wait? Like I said just a minute ago, no longer. It stops with me. The buck stops here. And this program was developed as a result of it. No joke, people, no joke. So limits and limitations can be a very tricky and conniving thing, and they can dress themselves up to sound like reasonings, when really, when you have someone hold your feet to the fire, hold up that, this light, this beacon of light, which I'll talk to in a minute, to that, there's no more excuses. So so often limits and limitations are not recognized as being limits and limitations. And we accept them, well, that's just the way it is. Not knowing that we allow these limits and limitations to define what our reality is. And here's an example. So there's a story that I heard that years ago, when zoos were still pretty primitive and not quite as elaborate as they are today, just kind of when zoos were formulating, they had very, well, very interesting primitive ways how they would train the animals to, because animals are a result of conditioning to be within certain boundaries. And this one really struck out for me with me. And it was they brought a bear into the zoo, and they put a chain around the bear's leg, tied a chain, connected a chain to the bear's leg, and in a particular post that was worthy of being able to hold up to a bear trying to pull it. Now the chain had range, so the bear had a place to sleep. It could roam roam and kind of hang out and play to a certain degree. I don't know how much you can play when you've got a chain on your leg, but the point was that in their mind they had, they were being humane with this animal, and they had this existence for it within boundaries. And the zoo attendant, the zookeeper, would come in and place food down within the perimeter. So if this is the perimeter, just inside the perimeter, but where it was safe for the attendant, the zookeeper, they put the food. And the bear had, the chain on its leg, but it extended far enough that it could go and it would go eat. Now and the zookeeper was safe. The bear got to eat. The zookeeper would go away. The bear would go back after it was done eating into its living area. The next day, the zookeeper would come in and place the food down within the boundary. The bear would come up to that boundary. It would eat the food, and then it would go back to its living space. And this pattern happened day after day after day after day, 365, 24/7. And eventually, after the conditioning, after time, I do not have the time frame for those who like details like that, but the point was that there was conditioning over time. So they even, they took the chain, they took the chain off the post, and then they took the chain off completely. And the bear stayed within the boundary. The zookeeper came in, put in the food. The bear went up to where the food was. The zookeeper left, was still safe. The bear was done with the food, would go back into its living area. Then one day, the zookeeper put the food outside of the boundary, not within the boundary, but outside of the boundary. The bear went to eat the food, but only went to where the food always had been, the condition within the boundary. The food wasn't there. It was outside the boundary. The bear didn't eat. It went back into its living area. Now, isn't that interesting? There were no walls. The bear could have gone to get the food, but it had been conditioned and did not take itself past that. Now, they didn't continue to do that. They put the food within the boundary after that. So the bear got to eat. Nothing happened to the bear, friends. So, but the point is the visual and the example. I guess I'm a bear. When there's certain things that come that I don't realize that I have full range to grasp them, but I stay within my boundaries. I stayed within my boundaries of limitations of I cannot do the level and the quality of master classes that I want to do because I don't have the top quality thousands of dollars of equipment in order to make it happen. No more, as I shared. I do not let that restrict me any longer. So James Russell Lowell said that no one can produce great things who is not thoroughly sincere in dealing with himself. So what illicit boundaries like the bear do we have in our lives? I love the quote from Carl Jung. Until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our lives and we will call it fate. This is where we step into the importance of awareness. Now, in order to know what boundaries or what caps that we put on ourselves, we must first awaken the ability to come into the awareness of where we are. Now, it's extremely common for people to not know themselves as well as they should. It just is. And knowing yourself isn't necessarily easy. Even those of us who are in the business of helping people grow and expand and get to that next level, and I'm at A, I want to be at B, and helping them get there and remove the boundaries that they put on themselves, even for us, because we're human beings. So our capacity isn't set in stone. You, me, we we can become aware of the possibilities that can make us better, the possibilities that can expand our capacities. Now, we're stepping into self-awareness right now. And self-awareness is a powerful skill. Self-awareness enables you to see yourself clearly. It informs you of your decisions and it helps you weigh your opportunities. It allows you to test your limits. Self-awareness empowers you to understand other people. It helps you make partnerships with others stronger. Self-awareness allows you to maximize your strengths. And self-awareness, most importantly, opens the door to greater capacity. Now, in the process of self-discovery, pay attention to your passions, because passions to me are like a beacon of light that illuminate a greater level of awareness. I had no idea I was this passionate about pouring into people. Not that I have the answers. And what I mean pouring into people is asking the questions, because the answers all are within us. So in my opinion, my humble opinion, backed by the top coaches literally of the world, they're top rated in the world, it is not correct or right for a coach to say, this is what you should do, you have these problems, and you need to follow this plan. We've not walked in the shoes of the people that we're helping. We have not had their lives. We did not go through their family scenarios. We did not have the breakups with their girlfriends and boyfriends that they had. We've not had zero. We've not been fired or given promotions the way they have. How could we possibly give them the answers to their life? The answers are within us. So first, we must have the right questions asked to help identify how to take ourselves from where we are to where we want to be. So the first step to identifying and combining into self-awareness what our caps of limitations are is we have to stimulate the awareness. We have to ask questions. So a good question is, do you know what to do so that you can do what you want to do? Do you know what to do so that you can do what you want to do? So that you can move from what you're doing now into what you want to do in the future. It's a process. Do you know what it'll take? So I'll go back to my story when I said I didn't know I had this passion. Is I worked for corporate for 20 years. I started when I was 9. Yes, I'm 29. So I worked for corporate for 20 years. And I was at the top of my game. I was at a high risk, high profile job. I traveled the world. It was, I didn't do things perfect. It was oh my gosh, it was very dramatic. Truly swimming with the sharks. A lot of people thought I did great. A lot of people thought I wasn't very good at what I did. It just, oh my gosh, it was just sucked the life out of me. And I had an opportunity to make a decision. Do I move to the next position, that next dangling carrot, or do I do something else? And if I do something else, what is that something else? And there's a whole nother story about how I got involved with the John Maxwell team, which is really that certification is what started and catapulted me into the various licensings that I have now that all fall within the umbrella of Wood Motivation. But when I started this process and I said yes to me, and I said, goodbye corporate, goodbye 1.5 to 2 hour commute there and back, goodbye sleeping very little and not being able to travel with my family. Oh my gosh, it was just a nightmare. Goodbye to all that. Yes to me and everything that goes along with that in terms of responsibility. It's not all roses. I'm a solopreneur starting business from scratch. There's a lot of character that's been built over the last 3 years. So my point is that I love what I do, and I know that I love it is because I lose track of time when I'm doing it, because the passion is illuminating, like, this is what you love. So I pray that for you. I do. I wish that for everyone, that they can be doing what they love. And that's part of why I do this, to help get people to that next level. I have had people, as a result of going through the virtual masterminds with me, that master classes, saying, Diana, can you coach me? Absolutely. Let's get you where you need to be. Those things are all possible. Darren Hardy, the publisher of Success Magazine, says, picture where you are in any area of your life right now. Picture where you are. That means you, because I'm sharing this example from Darren Hardy. Picture where you are right now in your life, right now. Picture where you want to be. Where do you want to be? Is it where you are? Great. Fantastic. Good on you. Then if it's where you are, what's that next level that you want to get to? Or what's that refinement that you want, either personally or with your team? That's what you picture. For those who are not where they want to be, picture where you want to be. You want to be happier. You want to have closer relationships in your life. You want to be able to give back, be philanthropic. You want to be richer. You want to be thinner. You want more health. You name it. It's the first step towards change, is the awareness, whatever that is to you. There's no judgment. There's no judgment. Just have the correct spirit of intent. That's very important in whatever it is that you choose. But the first step to having no limits is awareness. The first step to blowing the caps off your capacity is awareness. Carl Jung advised that your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. Oh, do I love that quote. I love that quote. I'm going to say it again. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Now, no, there's nothing wrong with dreaming, but who looks outside dreams. But who looks inside awakens. That's what this is about, awakening your awareness. So I'm going to ask you again, do you know what to do so that you can do what you want to do? What's holding you back? How would your life change if you were able to increase the capacity in the areas of your life, if you were able to do what you want to do? Now, take some time to describe how that would look and feel. So whether you do it right now and you hit pause, or whether you listen to this whole session and then go back and then pause as you're re-listening, or whether you make a note and go, I'm going to go back at whatever time this timestamp is and answer that question, do that step that Diana said to do. Describe how it would look and feel to be doing what you want to do. Don't skip these steps, friends. You made the investment. Don't skip the steps, because it will serve you. So what is your strategy for developing greater self-awareness? What's your strategy? Who will you enlist to help you learn, change, and grow? This program is part of it. I know it is. You wouldn't be in this program if you didn't want to change and grow. And something's happened, whether it was recently or somewhat recently, or someone encouraged you to join this program and said, let's buddy, let's do it together, which is, it's always fun to do it with more than one person. But voila, here it shows up and it's in your life. So I've discovered that working with my coaching clients in our one-to-one live sessions, that people are really great at applying caps, and they don't even realize it. So when you ask, you say, Diana, what do capacity caps and limitations look like? Oh my gosh, that's such a great question, because they can look like this. It's caps that you put, that others put on you, that you see and that you don't even realize that you're responding to. So it's caps that others put on you. It's caps that you put on yourself. It's looking for approval from others. It's living in a limiting environment. That can be really big. If you're not in control of your environment, whether it's roommates or spouses or people that are not on the same wavelength in terms of what your growth is, living in limiting environments, that can have capacity caps on it too. So as we wrap up our session for today, I have 4 final applications to share for you. Applications, questions. So one comes in a form of a statement and the other 3 are questions. So here we go. You ready? You ready? Okay. Identify one cap that you need to start to remove today. Whatever that came to your mind right now, whatever that cap is, whatever you feel is holding you back, that one thing. Just take one. I mean, start where you are, little baby steps. Identify one cap that you need to start to remove today. So next, number 2. What caps have others put on you that you want to remove? You might need to think into that one. And that you might need to live with that one for a little bit. But what caps have others put on you that you want to remove? Number 3, what must you do to begin to loosen these caps? Well, this is a good start, being in this program. But what must you do to begin to loosen the caps that people have on you or that you have on yourself? And what caps have you put on yourself that are limiting your capacity? Writing that out. So first it's, what do you want to start to remove today? Identify one. What caps have others put on you? What do you need to do to begin to loosen those caps that others have put on you? And what caps have you put on yourself that are limiting your capacity? So we have covered a lot of ground, my friends, and I invite you to read chapters 1 and 2 in the No Limits book from John C. Maxwell. Write down your answers to all the questions that we've gone over today in our session. Re-listen, revisit, listen to this in your car, listen to it while you're getting ready in the morning, listen to it while you're cleaning the house, listening to it while you're working out. Did I already say that one? Just take some time to utilize this, because I promise you'll hear things you didn't hear the first time. And as you start asking yourself these questions, plant them in and your mind will serve you and start to bring answers. There's greatness inside of you. And I look forward to sharing with you in the next session together. And this is Diana Wood, Wood Motivation, and excited for our next time together. See you again. Bye, guys.